If you care about history that actually teaches something useful, not just dates and uniforms, then you already understand why this topic matters. Before we go any further, subscribe to this channel and share it with someone who values real historical lessons, because what we're about to cover isn't recycled trivia. It's survival knowledge pulled straight from the darkest years of the Second World War, when ordinary people stayed alive not by standing out, but by disappearing in plain sight. This episode is about the forgotten grey man tactics of World War II. Methods quietly used by resistance members, intelligence operatives, refugees and civilians trying to survive when social order collapsed. These techniques weren't theoretical. They were tested daily under occupation, rationing, surveillance and violence. If society fractures again, these lessons remain painfully relevant. What most people misunderstand about wartime survival is the obsession with heroics. The truth is that the men and women who lasted longest were rarely the boldest. They were the ones who blended into crowds, adapted their behavior instantly, and never drew attention unless absolutely necessary. During World War II, both the Office of Strategic Services and the Special Operations Executive trained agents to look forgettable, act average, and avoid patterns. The goal wasn't invisibility, it was unremarkability. That principle forms the backbone of everything you're about to hear. Understanding why blending in mattered more than fighting openly during World War II gives context to the entire grey man philosophy. Occupied cities were layered with informants, patrols, ration inspectors and collaborators. A wrong accent, mismatched clothing, or confident posture could trigger scrutiny. People didn't vanish because they were hunted as enemies. They vanished because they were noticed. Survivors learned quickly that standing out, even accidentally, shortened life expectancy. Clothing during wartime became one of the most powerful survival tools, and not in the way modern survival media portrays it. Resistance members avoided anything new, clean or well-fitted. Clothing was deliberately worn, patched unevenly, and kept consistent with the local economic condition. A man wearing intact shoes in a district where leather was scarce drew attention immediately. Women adjusted hemlines, scarves, and even how tightly coats were cinched based on neighbourhood norms. Applying this today means, well, understanding your environment before choosing gear. If everyone around you looks under-resourced, looking prepared makes you a target. The practical step is simple, but honestly a bit uncomfortable. Downgrade your appearance to match your surroundings, even if you own better equipment. Behavior mattered even more than clothing. WWII survivors consistently wrote that fear was detectable. People who moved too cautiously or too confidently stood out. The safest posture was mild fatigue, mild disinterest, and mild urgency. In occupied Paris, Warsaw, and Amsterdam, civilians learned to walk with purpose but not haste, to avoid eye contact without appearing evasive, and to respond to authority with rehearsed compliance. One practical takeaway is behavioral rehearsal. You know, it's important to know how you will respond to questioning before it happens. Calm repetition of basic information, delivered without emotion, prevented escalation countless times during the war. Speech patterns were, another life-or-death factor rarely discussed. Accents, slang, and even sentence length mattered quite a bit. In World War II Europe, resistance members practiced local phrasing until it became instinct. Over-explaining was dangerous, honestly. Short, ordinary answers were safer. Applied today, this means resisting the urge to justify yourself. When questioned, answer only what is asked, no more, no less. The discipline to stop talking may be one of the most powerful survival skills history offers. Resource usage during wartime also followed grey man logic. Hoarding was common, but displaying abundance was fatal. Food, fuel and tools were hidden, not stockpiled openly. Many families intentionally appeared poorer than they were, spreading resources across locations instead of centralizing them. The modern application is decentralization. Never let all of your preparedness be visible in one place or to one audience. World War II taught that survival favored those whose resources were invisible. Social alignment became another quiet tactic. Civilians learned which opinions were safe to express publicly and which were reserved for private spaces. Neutrality, or the appearance of it, kept people alive. Even resistance supporters often criticized resistance actions in public to avoid suspicion. This wasn't cowardice. It was strategic patience. The modern equivalent is understanding when silence preserves optionality. Survival sometimes means withholding your stance until conditions stabilize. Movement patterns were carefully controlled. During curfews and checkpoints, people took indirect routes, varied timing, and avoided routines. Predictability was exploited by occupying forces. One of the most practical World War II lessons is route variation. Whether commuting, gathering supplies, or relocating, randomness reduces vulnerability. Survivors learned this lesson through loss, and it remains relevant wherever authority becomes unstable or predatory. The final and most uncomfortable lesson of World War II Greyman tactics is psychological acceptance. Survivors accepted that survival required humility, restraint, and anonymity. Pride was a liability. The people who lived through occupation weren't those who demanded dignity at every moment. They were the ones who preserved life first and dignity later. This mindset is difficult, but history is clear on its effectiveness. If this episode added value to your understanding of history as a survival manual, subscribe to the Legacy of Survival channel, share this video with serious history buffs, and, well, keep these lessons alive. World War II didn't just shape borders. It shaped survival strategies that still work today, and preserving that knowledge may matter more than ever.